You're watching Jeff Koinange Live, brought to you by Johnny Walker.
And welcome back to Jeff Koinange Live at the poolside of the Intercontinental Hotel. The conversation is just warming up. I've got the House Majority Leader Aden Duale and former Deputy Speaker and former Member of Parliament for Lagdera, Farah Maalim. We're talking issues. And yes, maybe now we should just divert, go away from ODM and talk about the referendum a little bit. But before we do that, I asked you before the break, the recent road trip by the President, was it successful in your terms?
Oh, very successful.
I wouldn't expect you to say anything else, but go on.
Very successful. We had a very serious one-to-one meeting with Barack Obama.
One-on-one?
One-on-one. Discussed everything under the sun, including his relatives in Nyanza and Ogelo.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of business and economic investment, Kenya came back with, of the overall investment portfolio that was given to the African continent, of the 40 countries, Kenya has 40% of that investment in energy, in infrastructure, in ICT, and that was confirmed by the press conference that the CSS from the Jubilee Coalition did at Serena. Yes.
But thank
$26 billion US.
Yeah, but thank goodness that was thanks to China. Thanks to China. China's in the party.
But even now, I mean, it's a catch-up that the West is playing now because of China's presence in here. I don't subscribe very much to the China becoming an alternative to the West. There's no question about that. I mean, the Chinese are good constructors of infrastructure. They can give you some good roads, some good railways, but that's about it. And this is loans, by the way. And then they flood you with their own people who are going to do everything. Very soon you're going to see Chinese doing Choma Mahindi and everything else. Because if you go to, I haven't been myself to Angola, but I'm told in Angola they are doing literally everything, including running kiosks.
There's like 1 million Chinese in Angola.
Yes.
They say.
In Zambia, it's outrageous.
But their economy has been...
It's outrageous. It's unacceptable. It's going to explode any day. Because the ordinary Angolan are actually not well off at all. They're very poor, extremely poor. And the countries like Zambia, like Tanzania, the few countries that are invited Chinese are beginning to reverse that. So I don't see the Chinese as really adding a lot of value to us other than infrastructural development.
So this thing by America is a good thing?
It's a mixed kind of a bag. It's a mixed kind of a bag. I agree with you when it comes to IT, when it comes to energy, when it comes to building the capacities of the different ministries and the different agencies in the country. For example, our forensic lab, which I hear they're going to put in there, is a very powerful development. Right now, we're not even able to follow up thugs and get their fingerprints. I mean, our police force is so much ill-equipped when it comes to such very vital things and very important things like forensic capacity.
Yeah.
I agree with all those things. But when you say, for example, infrastructural, no, give me a break. I don't think they can do better than the Chinese when it comes to roads.
You know, Jeff, the US-Africa Summit came at the backdrop of a number of continental meetings. The first one was the China-Africa Heads of State Summit. The second one that happened this year, or last year, was the European Union-Africa Summit in Brussels. Then last year, November, we had the Arab African Heads of State meeting, investment conference meeting in Kuwait, which I attended. So the Americans felt they have been left.
They've been late to the party.
Yes, they have seen, despite their political engagement, despite the engagement in human rights, despite the engagement in donor funding, their business community in the US, huge US companies were losing out in huge contracts in a number of, not only in Africa, but in a number of continents.
Yeah. And
that's why, in my opinion, President Barack Obama was under pressure from the private sector in the US.
And for him to...
And it was a win for the African continent. Because one, they went as an Pan-African team. They had an agenda. And in their agenda, mainly was an investment for Africa. Look at a company like General Electric. They were here. They came to Kenya. And they asked the Kenyan government, please give us a slice of the business you're giving to the Chinese.
Yeah. But why?
And today, we should not be criminalized for doing business with China. The Europeans and the Americans are doing huge business with China.
But Obama could have come with his businessmen to the African Union in Addis Ababa, and the Africans would have sent that statement, you know, you come to us. If you need us, come to us.
You know the previous one we did in Beijing, it was done in Kuwait, it was done in Brussels. Obama had. And I think for us, Kenya and the Jubilee administration, that was the relationship that broke the camel's back. We had a very frosty relation with our Western partners.
Yeah. Does that mean ICC is dead?
No. ICC is a legal process. ICC is a legal process. ICC is, I mean, the U.S. government or the President Barack Obama has no key to our ICC matter. It's a legal process.
But he wouldn't engage President Kenyatta before for a year and a half. Now he is. What does that tell you?
President Kenyatta is democratically elected by the people of Kenya.
Obama would not meet him before. Obama came to Tanzania.
He has come to the reality. The reality has dawned on Obama that President Uhuru Kenyatta never took the leadership of this country through the barrel of the gun. He won through a free, fair, transparent, and peaceful election.
You're going to say something?
Let me tell you something. You have to understand, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, and the collapse of communism through that bipolar political conditions we've had for about 50 years. I think from the end of the Second World War until in the 90s. Yeah. We are about 40 plus years. The West had to try and tie its engagement with developing countries in Africa, in Asia, in the Middle East, and the rest of it, to human rights and democracy. Right. It had to be sensitive to the sufferings of the masses of those countries, because they were dictators before then. And as long as the dictator was anti-communist, then he could do anything with these people. You know, the Mobutus of these days, the Haile Selassies, or and all those people. Yeah. So basically, it had to change. China doesn't care what you do with your people. You can go and slaughter 1 million of your own people. They don't give a damn about it. For them, it's business. Yes. You see what I mean? The bottom line is money and money and money. That's about all. Absolutely. They don't do you any favor. And by the way, at the end of the day, if the Americans get very tough with them and mean and tell them, hey, pull back, otherwise we're going to pull a few strings. Can I just finish? A few strings in the business between China and America. Yeah. Still, China has got the bulk of its trade with America.
Correct.
The day America...
The debt.
Yes.
They own the debt.
Well, they own the debt, but also they own the business. I mean, they own the business. I mean, it's got into trillions of dollars. And that's basically what keeps the Chinese economy growing. So China would not want to sacrifice that with the West because of the uncertainties of Africa. But they've basically been playing some kind of a guerrilla tactics in that international political economic games to try and secure some natural resources, to try and secure businesses with countries like in Africa, in Asia, whatever, without caring about this. Now the risk is the masses of these countries, the 45 million Kenyans, the Ethiopians, the Tanzanians, the Ugandans, all of them also want their governments to be put to check. Because left on their own, the reason why these African countries were congregating together is they were trying to stop any accountability in terms of human rights, in terms of good governance, in terms of a proper administrative justice in their own countries. They didn't want to do that. And that's why they tried to create a bloc to try and negotiate, because the main pressure was coming from the States.
But like Moshimu over here said, at least now we're not going with the begging bowl anymore. There's no begging bowl mentality.
No.
We're engaged.
The resources are in Africa. Right now, this is the fastest developing continent.
Correct.
Everywhere else, they either have what do you call a level of development that's not as fast as we're doing. They have uncertainties in their own future energy reserves. Africa is the continent of the future.
Let me come to you've asked a very fundamental question, and I think it's the right thing. It's like you are seeking a statement from the leader of majority in Parliament. One, I think the president, as the chair of East African Community, had a very serious, an IGAD, as a member of the IGAD head of state, they had a very serious engagement with the U.S. government on South Sudan, on Somalia, on the whole region. Serious engagement with the business and investment forum in the U.S., where key infrastructural projects, the LAFSET projects, the regional projects, the pipeline, the road, the construction of the ports were discussed. And more fundamentally, the president had a time to meet with the Kenyan in the diaspora as a constituent of this country. Listen to them, listen to the issues that was raised, and I'm sure one of the reasons was why Kenya and more so the Jubilee government was not appointing a substantive an ambassador to the U.S.
To D.C., yeah.
Yes, and that happened 3 days after the president came back.
Was that a good decision, by the way, Gidai?
Oh, yes.
Jerry Gidai, any day, is, for me, was one of the best ministers we've had in the cabinet last
As ambassador?
As ambassador?
I will look at Robinson Gidai in that class of the political class that were appointed. The Ongeri, the Makweres.
Yes.
I mean, politicians make well over the best diplomats.
But maybe...
And I can tell you, the Secretary of State, the U.S. Secretary of State, is a former politician.
Yeah, John
Hillary Clinton was a former politician.
Oh, Clinton.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think I agree with the Honorable Farah. Robinson Gidai is the right guy.
Kiama Kilonzo, Turkey?
Of course, he's up to the task. Kiama Kilonzo has all it takes. He has the and I'm sure when they appear before the Parliamentary Committee on Defense and Foreign Relations, within the vetting process, they will not look at whether you are a politician or not. They will look at your CV.
Who was shouting it down there? Was it women, gender, some kind of NGO? They were saying that these appointments were unconstitutional. Did you hear that?
I think the president has not appointed anybody. What he has done is under Article 132, Sub-Article 1.
It has to be ratified by Parliament.
He has only nominated. Parliament will do the vetting and the president will appoint.
Yeah, but so who's the majority in Parliament?
No, issues of gender, issues of regional balance, issues of youth, disability. Those are issues that
But you all think those were good appointments? I mean, good
I have absolutely no problem with all. You see, these are politicians. Yeah. This is the relationship between two countries. And this also is also economic. I mean, you basically have to develop trade or economic relationship between the two countries. Yeah. And I don't think...
and Gidai was metropolitan and then he was finance?
No, Gidai was metropolitan, was finance. Hungary was in many ministries. And he's a medical doctor himself too, professor of medicine. Makwere was not only in foreign affairs, he was the minister for foreign affairs, he was an ambassador before that. That's right. And he was in transport and he has that wealth of experience. I have absolutely nothing. Mohammed Abdi was a former minister also in the government here, with a wealth of experience in terms of his background. I think those were all splendid, in my opinion. I couldn't fault any of those ones. Absolutely not.
Come back to my
the only thing that the Jubilee, the so-called digital Jubilee, would say, which I don't agree with, by the way. Yeah. I don't agree at all with any discrimination on the basis of age and the rest of it. So I hear a few mamas that some of the old people have been brought back. Right. If the old people can do a very good job, then why not? Yeah. For Jubilee, that was only a gimmick, a vote, what do you call, a vote catching gimmick. Vote getting gimmick, you know what I mean? Yes. No more than that. So I agree with them. I actually commend them for coming back to their senses.
It was a good move.
Well, it's a good move just to get them, the youth.
ODM saying this, eh?
Yes, but you should say one thing. What? That at least we are not appointing our relatives. Jubilee, at least we are not appointing our relatives. Are you sure? At least we are not appointing our relatives.
Are you sure? Yeah. No, it's not quite.
The men and the women who are appointed.
By the way, I don't agree with any notion that says just because you share a common name with somebody big up there, even if you're very well qualified, very well experienced, up to the task yourself, then you should not get that job because you're a relative somewhere there.
Right. It's a meritocracy.
Jeff.
Can I just finish?
I disagree.
Can I just finish?
When you're the president, when you're the deputy president, when you're the cabinet minister for foreign affairs, or even the leader of majority, you must minimize. There are 40 million Kenyans. There are thousands of Kenyans with good CVs.
Jeff.
Why do you have to recycle your own relatives?
Jeff.
And they're the only ones who can serve in government.
But
we've heard you. We've heard you.
He is saying,
we've heard you.
If you have the
merit,
qualified.
If you're up to the task,
I'm happy.
and you're qualified for that. Can I just finish? Can I just finish?
I'll not be around when he becomes the president.
Can I just finish? Can I just finish?
Are you cousins? Are you cousins?
We are very close cousins.
We are related, yes. Can I just finish? Listen to me. Jeff.
Yes.
Very well qualified person.
Yeah.
PhD holder.
I agree with you.
The sister of Raila Odinga.
Oh.
Why should she be victimized because she happens to be the sister of Raila Odinga?
Sure.
The cousin of the president. Can I just finish?
From the same village?
No, Jeff, we have to have some kind of an order here. I'm caught between here, the two of you here.
Speaker.
Yeah.
Go on.
I know of a relative of the president who is there in the foreign system, exceptionally well gifted, and she qualifies for it, and is there. And I wouldn't want to see a situation in which she's victimized simply because she's a relative of the president or the relative of a prime minister or anybody in high position.
So there's hope for me then. I might still get a job.
Oh yes.
When he forms government.
Gentlemen,
now we don't think government.
Let's take a break. Take a break, come back, read some tweets, because I'm telling you, the phone is hot, man. The phone is smoking hot.
It.
No, we'll throw it away. And let's talk about...
Now you can throw it, because you have, you're selling the book.
Let's talk about the management.
Have you bought my book?
No. You have to reduce the price.
Jeff, let's leave.
We have to negotiate.
Jeff.
I'll tell you what. When patia mbuzi kutoka kwa kwenu, nitakupatia kitabu.
You know the cost of mbuzi in the constituency?
300.
7,000.
Mbuzi
That's
gani?
3 books.
Is that dopa?
That's 3 books.
Hiyo ni gamia.
Hiyo ni dopa.
House Majority Leader Aden Duale, former Deputy Speaker Farah Maalim. Oh my, what my, what a show. We'll be back in a moment and talk, read your tweets. I promise I'll read your tweets. And then going forward, is that referendum ever going to happen? We'll find out after this commercial break. JKL, we'll be back in a moment.